What is up, guys? It's Mason once again, and today we have a very short and quick analysis video. Now, we know the Africa Games, the 13th Africa Games, which was held in Ghana, ended earlier in March or halfway through March, and the winner of the individual blitz and individual rapid was Bassem Amin. But I want to take a look at just two of his blitz games, because during the blitz portion, trust me, he was just going ham on everybody, playing these King's Indian attack, crushing everybody with very swift and very beautiful attacks. But I just picked two of like my favorite attacking games that he played, just to share with you guys here. So in this game, he's playing black against Wanyama Harold, and let's see how this game goes. So we have d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, having an English, bishop g7, g3, castles kingside, and then bishop to g2. It's taking more of the form of like a king's Indian defense. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d5, knight d4. So already black has taken a stick inside white's territory. This knight here controls so many annoying squares inside white's territory, and it's going to make it very difficult and annoying for him to move, and he might have to sacrifice, he might have to trade off this knight for this knight. But here it's not so good. Now, a common theme that Bassem did in most of these blitz games was putting the knight in this square or in this square. It's either was on d3 or on d4 and causing havoc. There was one game where the knight eventually got to e1. I mean, crazy chess. So let's see what happens here. We have h3, typical move. It does weaken the king a little bit, but it's very typical in these fianchetto pawn structure styles to play this move. One, to prevent the bishop from getting a hold or being able to come into this square. And secondly, sometimes the king can hide there in these fianchetto pawn structures. c5, normal. And then d takes c6 en passant, b takes c6. And a questionable move here by Harold. These pawns do a good job of holding this square, as with the knight, making it a little bit difficult for your opponent to strike forward, right? So, I mean, even with the maneuvering of your knight, a common maneuvering I know is like here, here, here. A common maneuvering like this opens up the bishop's defense of this d5 square. So, it's not so easy for your opponent to like break through with d5. It's my opinion on this position, but he plays this very interesting move, which I mean I get, because after c5, d takes c5, knight takes c5, and if you look at the pawn structure here, black's pawn structure looks like bad. Like these are double isolated pawns. But what white seems to miss here is the move bishop to a6, keeping the king in the center and making it easy for white to attack, right? So going for a castling move, a safety first move, would have made sense than rather going for this kind of move that kind of destroys your opponent's position. But mind you, this is blitz, and I think it was 5+3 that they were playing. So it makes sense that you would make quick decisions to disorient your opponent and then go for winning positions. But Bassem catches on very quick and begins a very beautiful sequence of moves. So we have f4, another questionable move. Now, white here could be thinking, okay, my king can't castle, maybe I'll have to manual castle, those kind of thoughts. But the center is not locked. Normally when you want to go for aggressive chess, you want the center to be locked. But here he's literally, as Yasser Serawan would say, lifting the kimono. Knight here, bishop here, it's very dangerous. Bassem goes knight to h4, king goes into f2. He wants to manual castle, bring the rook over to d1, get the king safe. But then Bassem strikes, bishop takes e5, f takes e5, and then f5. If you take, my rook comes in with check, and the floodgates are literally open, right? The floodgates are open. Things are jumping in. Queen can join in. So much is happening here. And Harold decides to play the move bishop to f1, trying to trade off the bishops, but Bassem is like, yeah, you can take my bishop if you can. Discover check. The king hides, so it's like the king is getting safe. It looks like the king is getting safe. But then this move was given a brilliancy by the eval rook to f3. You want to take my bishop, you can take my bishop, but the moment you take my bishop, rook takes, and no matter where you hide, it's just going to be bad for you. But for example, if you hide in here, you just have to lose your queen, and this is just completely winning for black. So his opponent sees this and decides to try and hold this pawn, but that just doesn't stop Bassem. We have knight takes, pawn takes, and then the queen comes in. This knight is the MVP. If this knight wasn't watching the position all this while, this move wouldn't have become a reality. Knight takes, bishop takes with check, rook takes, queen takes with check, and now it's confirmed checkmate very, very soon. Beautiful, beautiful game, attacking game by Bassem, identifying the weaknesses his opponents created and the opportunities he had, and going straight for the attacking position. Beautiful. Bishop to c6 here, rook f3, coming into his opponent's position and really decimating him. Let's take a look at the next game. Okay, so this is game 2. This is Bassem Amin versus Arab Adlin, and this is actually the reason, this game is the reason why I wanted to make this video. I could even just skip all the opening moves and everything and get straight to that position because it was so nice. So let's look at this game. We have e4. What is happening? Sorry, what is happening? e4, c5. My PC was messing up there for some reason. e4, c5, knight f2, that's the Sicilian defense. e6, oof, d3, knight c6, g3. Like I said, he kept on going for these King's Indian attack situations. So it was a Sicilian, but then he transposes into this sort of King's Indian attack formation, and trust me, he was, oh, I wish you guys could just go to chess.com and check out these games. He was really messing his opponent up. Knight g to e7, castles kingside, rook to e1, queen to c7, c3, slowly developing his pieces here. If possible, he could get d4, e5, and remember that locks the center up, making it easy for him to go like h5, h4, g4, h4, you know, those kind of aggressive ideas that you can get with this kind of pawn structure. Bishop to d7, a3, possibly a slow move to, at some point, like if there's a trade that goes on here, prevent the knight from stepping into this b4 square. Could also be a point for playing b4, not really, but it could be. We have b5 and now d4, the expansion we spoke about. C takes d4, and this is why the pawn is here, stopping the knight. Queen to d8, and then we have e5, bishop to c7. Now the point of queen to d8 is simply to prevent this bishop from being lost. Let's put it in that sense, because it was kind of trapped, right? If black played, for example, this move, the bishop doesn't have a good square to run to. So queen goes back, and now the bishop goes back, and this is what Bassem is looking for: a locked center and a whole lot of imagination. Knight to b4, knight to b3. The bishop's line is opened up. Now you don't really see the attack, but it's coming. It's coming. Bishop to b6, bishop to f1. I was thinking originally I was to target this pawn, but not knowing he has plans of putting this bishop here. And now these two bishops are staring at the king side. And every time I see two bishops staring at the king side, I always think about Kasparov-Karpov and that wonderful Ruy Lopez game. Knight f5, bishop to g5, f6, e takes f6, g takes f6, and the bishop goes back, preventing any ideas here of pawn push. Knight c to e7, bishop to d3. Like we said, of course you don't want to take this pawn. It's not a good idea. Even if it was free at some point, knight G to E6, knight to G6, bishop takes F5, knight takes F5, knight takes F4, queen to D2, not being in a hurry to capture back immediately and spoiling his structure, which I mean he could in my opinion do, because if takes king comes in here, you've opened the line for your like rook to cause problems. Of course your opponent can do exactly the same thing, but here we have queen to D2, bishop comes back to attack to defend the knight, bishop jumps back, knight goes into G6, knight jumps into C3. The king is trying to run away to safety because now his side is becoming a little bit problematic. Though this move is, you could also question this move because there's a lot of firepower, especially on this E file. So you could wonder why maybe he didn't push the king this way, but rather came in this way. Or even just left the king there and tried some other developing moves that he could play. Of course, you could also think about the fact that he was defending this knight so that maybe there will not be any infiltrations there. But here we have queen to H6, immediately attacking the weak pawn that was left behind by black. We have rook to H8, rook to E3, bishop to D6, knight to B7. I'm taking my time because I'm getting to the move, forking the queen and the bishop. Queen goes in to what do you call it? F8, knight takes bishop, queen takes bishop, and then the beautiful bishop takes G6 check. Now, the moment black saw this move, he resigned. So I recall, as we were looking at this game, Maxwell, I, and some others, we were just trying to figure out, like, why did black resign in this position? Like, he saw so many wonderful combinations of which he doesn't win, and that is why this position is crazy. So what happens if pawn takes? Knight to G5, because if you take the knight, I have rook to F3 check, and it doesn't really matter which path you take, you are eventually going to lose your two rooks. You are eventually going to lose the two rooks. So the only other option here then is to go queen, rather than running away instantly, is to go queen to F4 and to lose your queen. And the engine says that you can actually try and strive with this position, but this position is really, really bad. You have the instant queen comes in with check. Rook is also coming in. If you can even trade off one of your rooks for one of these rooks, this is just a completely dominant position. Second of all, you look at the pawns. White is definitely going to get more pawns than black. So again, this move just came out of nowhere. Bishop takes. This was actually my favorite. And the fact that the follow-up is another sacrifice. Sacrificing two pieces to get this overwhelming advantage and overwhelming attack, where you either win the queen with a dominant position where you can even gobble up your opponent's remaining pieces, or where your opponent decides to try and run away and then lose two rooks. Very, very beautiful and entertaining games. I really did love how Bassem decided to go about the blitz person. Like, there was one specific game, he just went F, G, H, and the king was literally naked, like just pushing his pawns forward till eventually he won the game. But that game in particular, after the winning position, then after he gets a successful winning position, then the board starts making some strange blundering moves. I really wanted to show that game. Not that in the third game I would have shown here, but these are basically the two games I wanted to show, and also to let those who aren't following or who weren't able to follow what happened here in Africa, which is the 13th Africa Games, to know that Bassem Amin did win the blitz and the rapid portion of the Africa Games, and that's giving Egypt so many gold medals. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I have been Mason. You can follow my streams, twitch.tv/pen_Mason. I do stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. Unfortunately, because of the network issues we are having, I try streaming in the mornings and it's very, very laggy, and it's very like annoying to watch those kinds of things. I do still pop in during the day to see if the internet is stable. So yes, you will catch me on those days if and only if the internet is stable. then I'll be around. We can have some chats, we can have some fun. And also, if you do enjoy this video, like, comment, subscribe. It really does help me out. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Peace.